And Margaret joins me now. Other than getting away from bad electoral news here, what is the president hoping to accomplish on this trip, Margaret?
Well, last week when Secretary Kerry said that the U.S.-China relationship was the most consequential one in the world and would do a lot to shape this century. And that really, to me, summed up with the opportunities and the dilemma for the president. So on the one hand, you have China, a rising power, challenging what U.S. dominance in that part of the world really for more than a half a century, and with a kind of aggressiveness, assertiveness territorially that's kind of new. But Washington can't approach this like some 20th century grand rivalry because the U.S. needs China, not just economically, but on a lot of these issues like climate change, like Iran and North Korea's nuclear ambitions that the U.S. can't really solve without China. And so the dilemma is, how to incorporate concerns that the U.S. has about China's performance on human rights, on cyber theft, on a whole raft of issues, without totally alienating the Chinese. And you saw that today when you listened to his comments, the president's, about the Hong Kong protest, because though he said, please, you need to exercise restraint, he was very restrained himself, and he acknowledged there was a complicated relationship with Hong Kong.
Is that because he has a more complicated relationship with Beijing, or less one than last time when he and President Xi met in California?
Well, in California, that was more of a get-to-know, can we build a new relationship session? But it's certainly different than when he went to China last time in '09, where right off the financial crisis, the Chinese kept lecturing him about the state of the American economy. You caused this. We're weathering it well. Now that has been reversed. The U.S. economy is doing better. Not better than the Chinese, but the Chinese are having problems. But basically, I would say that the White House still took note of the elections, went into this trip determined to demonstrate to the Chinese that this is no lame duck president, and that in fact White House officials have been telling their counterparts in China his hand will be strengthened in Asia Pacific because you're going to have Republicans in charge of the Senate. They'll be willing to spend more on the security side in Asia, and they will be more open to this TPP, which China doesn't like one bit.
The Trans-Pacific Partnership. But on this very day, we hear about Chinese hacking of the U.S. Postal Service, and there have been regular reports of this. Are there tensions there? We saw the tension between Abe and Xi, but are there also tensions between the U.S. and its partners, potential partners?
Huge, particularly on cybersecurity. And you can expect, Susan Rice, the National Security Advisor, said they would have candid conversations. You can expect him to raise this. What the U.S. argument is, look, we know we each spy on one another as governments, but you all also spy to steal secrets and designs from American companies to give to Chinese rivals. We don't do that. And they agree to disagree on that, I think.
Well, as the president was arriving in Beijing, came news, or as he was on his way, that 2 American detainees who had been held in North Korea were released. Is that a coincidence?
It's unclear because you can never know what's in the mind of Kim Jong-un or any North Korean leader. I would say not directly, certainly. I haven't been told that it was Chinese pressure, but China's always been the kind of buffer and protector of North Korea. That said, the new Chinese leadership regards the new North Korean leadership as a little bit, one person said to me, wacko. Their relationship with and influence with North Korea is not as great as it was. And it is possible that this new human rights report that documented sort of systematic or gross violations, they called it, in the North Korea prison system, may have meant that Kim Jong-un and his folks were nervous they'd be referred to the criminal court, and maybe they decided might make it easier for China to protect them on that, but we really don't know.
Timing is everything, however. It's hard not to see it that way. Margaret Warner, thank you.
As always.